Hey guys, what's up? This is Fall Spools 123 coming to you from Medford, Oregon. Now, this week's episode is an actual honest to goodness story time. I mean, what the fuck is this? A vlogging channel or something? And I thought I'd give you something that I think is going to be a little special. My tales from retail. Now, I'm a cook. I don't do anything to show that on this channel, but that's mostly just because I do not have the technology or time to actually edit, cooking videos. But when I'm not cooking, when I'm not being a boss babe in the kitchen, I do have a few other skills which I think are valuable. One thing is my, honest to goodness, at least in my opinion, a very good customer service voice. Hello, welcome to YouTube. My name is Ryan. How can I help you today? I care very much about your problems, even though you're a piece of shit human being, and you deserve to die in a house fire. Same, it's all about intonation, people. But, that being said, I thought that, I am a vlogger, so story times are kind of the bread and butter. They're what get you them likes, comments, and reviews. So, views, you know what I mean? So I thought that for, this episode, I would tell you 4 stories of customers that I had in retail. So, fuck it, let's begin. So, there's always the saying that the customer is always right. And this is patently false. However, a more accurate summation is that the customer is frequently stupid. So, my first story for the day is who I call the ham lady, which is probably just the most dumbest customer I ever had. So this was when I was working, it was my first job. I worked in a call center at Harry and David, which if you don't know is a gift basket company stationed in Medford, Oregon. They are very, very popular in the area at least, and they ship internationally and all throughout the country. That being said, most people have apparently never heard of them. But if you've ever had a gift basket and it has had pears in it, you most likely had a Harry and David gift basket, as Medford is, at least in my opinion, and what I tell people, the pear capital. We got them pears, yo, okay? Now, besides selling pears, Harry and David had 2, give me a second to remember what it's called, I guess children companies. They were the parent company, so I guess that's what you would call them. One is Wolferman's, who sells English muffins, and the other is, I don't remember the name of it, but they sell steaks. They sold meat products. And so Harry and David actually had quite a variety of different meat and other, food items they would sell to people, including Christmas hams. Now, these hams are not in any way cured, but I want to get into the story and stop talking about, corporate infrastructures. So I was working at Harry and David, hating my job, having indigestion from all those, chocolate-covered pineapple things they had in the break room. And I get this customer, and she calls me up. And and I'm like, hello, welcome to Harry and David. My name is Ryan. How can I help you today? And she's like, yeah, so, my ham is bad. And I'm just like, I'm so sorry to hear that. How long have you had it? Oh, I've had it for 6 months. Did you freeze it? Are you supposed to freeze a ham? No, bitch, you're not supposed to freeze a ham. It's magic. This woman did not know, and she sounded like she was at least in her 30s. But I mean, how do you tell these things? This woman did not know that if you had a meat object, you were not supposed to freeze it after a certain amount of time. And I would think, it's not like we tell them that. But wait, we do. When you buy the ham, we put a little piece of paper that tells you if you don't eat the damn thing in 2 weeks, you throw it in the freezer. We post it on our website. That's very easy to find. We list it in the catalogs and on the website on, the item description page. There is literally no way that she had this ham and would have not seen those instructions. And I'm thinking, does she think that it's not a salted ham? Now, for the people that are a bit confused, because obviously there are hams which do last longer than 2 weeks, there is a process known as curing in meat. And so curing is essentially when you add some amount of salt and generally nitrates or nitrates? Two different types, but essentially adding usually salt and some form of nitrates to the meat to help preserve it. Now, ham can be cured by a variety of different, or preserved in a variety of different measures, either from salting or smoking or some other way which essentially stops the meat from decomposing. However, just because you have a ham does not necessarily mean that it is a cured ham. Ham simply refers to a cut of meat on the pork, and so you can literally have a raw ham, or you can have a cooked ham, or a variety of other things. None of the phrase ham itself does not indicate that it is in any way preserved. That being said, this woman thought that like she could just leave her ham in the fridge for 6 months and it would be good. And I'm thinking, who is this lady and how did she get so dumb? But I didn't say these things. I was very nice to her. And I said to the ham lady, I'm so sorry to hear that, ma'am. You know what? We're going to send you a brand new ham, and it's going to be there in about, usually a week and a half. It takes 3 to 5 days to mail somebody something in, like, America, so that's good time. And she's like, oh my goodness, thank you so much. I can't believe it went bad. And then, like, I hung up and I went to the next call, but I'm still, to this day, how did she not know it's a ham? But that's enough of that story. So the ham lady, she got herself a brand new ham even though she was dumb and did not deserve it. However, but, that's life. Sometimes you get customers that just don't know any better. And you give them free things, not because they deserve it, but because it makes them happy. And that's the first rule of customer service, is making your customer happy. Now, these things don't always work out. And sometimes your customer is angry at you for reasons which are outside of their control, against policy, and simply they just don't want to do what they need to do to get what they need done. So that brings me to my next customer. Now this was not Harry and David, I'm switching it up a bit. This was when I worked at Walmart, which is around the time that I actually started this channel. Throwback. Oh yeah. And as you can see, memento, there we go. That's the vest I was wearing that day. And this was, I believe, sometime in November. I'm trying to think, about any sort of other detail that would, really draw us back into the time frame. But I remember I was working somewhere, middle, row. It wasn't, aisle 1 or anything. And this customer comes up, and he's a fairly young gentleman. I'm going to guess mid-30s. So he's not younger or really old, but he's not, middle-aged technically. You have the idea. And so he's, you'd say, 6'2", brunette. Don't remember much about him, except that he was an asshole. Which is why I called him the cashback asshole. Because, gotta have fun names. What the heck is this, So he comes up, and I don't remember if he was talking in his phone, but he probably was. Because, he's the type of person to do so. And so I'm ringing him up, and he's just like... And after, we finish, he's like, can I get cash back? And I'm thinking, did you select cash back when you put in your debit card? He's like, no. Then I can't give you cash back, sir, because that's not how it works. If you want cash back, you have to select it on your debit card, and then I can hand it to you. I'm not saying that to him at this moment. I'm just explaining. And so he's like, well, can I get it now? And I'm just like, I'm sorry, sir. Without an open ticket, I can't get you anything. It's like, well, it's messed up. However, either our customer service desk or our money center can help you. And it's like, well, I'm just going to wait here. And I'm thinking, that's nice. I can't help you. And I tell them, well, sir, I can't help you. And so often, I will say, oh, I'm no worries. I say that quite a bit. It's just a way of, reassuring a customer. It's like, well, you better be worried. And I'm thinking, ha, bitch, you think. I ain't worried about a single thing that happens to my customers, and I can care less about this person. The first rule of customer service is that I only care about you when I'm helping you. You leave that store and I literally cannot give less of a shit about your life. That being said, I obviously do care about my customers' lives. I do feel some amount of compassion or empathy towards them. That being said, I can't waste my time and emotional energy on every single customer that comes in the store hours after they leave. I really can't worry about them because I have a new customer right in front of me that deserves the same level of emotion and compassion that they get. So, it's like, I'm busy. And so he's like throwing a little hissy fit like a toddler, and he's getting irate. And so, like a toddler, they get to a point where their emotions are just so strong, they're so dramatic and overblown, that is comical. That you want to laugh at this person because they're so angry, it's become funny. And this happens quite a bit actually in customer service, is that people will become so irate that they are no longer threatening or irritating. They're simply mock-worthy. And so he's throwing a fit like a little bitch baby. And one of my coworkers is like, sir, he cannot help you. If you want help, and she tells him what I just told him, and he gets real angry, and he's sulky. And so he storms off, and he's like, blah, 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 I hate it here. I'm never coming back again. The usual. And I'm never worried if a customer says I'm never coming back again. Because for every customer that says that, I've had 50 customers that say, Ryan, because they can read my name tag, you have been so wonderful, and thank you so much for helping me today. I mean, they aren't like that florid, but, that's kind of the gist. It's like, I thank you so much, you made me feel better, you made my life easier, I like your store, you're smiley. And I'm just like, yeah, bitch, I'm smiley, I work in customer service. And so it's like, one customer tells me I suck at my job and that we're a horrible company, passe. Because I'm going to have so many more customers that are just like, you helped a difficult situation and made me feel better. And I'm just like, that's what I get paid for. Huzzah. And so that guy, he didn't get his cash back because he was too lazy to stand in a line. And also, not ask about cashback policies before he bought things. Now, if you want cash back, sometimes there's issues. Obviously. I've had customers who want to get cash back and the debit reader gets past that screen for some reason. But do they complain? No. They go stand in the line like a good customer and they get what they need done because they understand that I don't always have access to the till for security reasons. Because the only way I can open a till without a ticket is to literally call security because I am assumingly being robbed. And I don't want to do that to security. I don't want to do that to myself, and he doesn't deserve all of that commotion just so he can get $20 cash back and not wait 5 minutes. Now, this brings us along to my third story. And this is also at Walmart, and this was quite a bit earlier. And this was quite an incident. This is what I call the basket accident. So, if you have ever worked as a cashier, you probably have a love-hate relationship with those little hand baskets. Now, I love hand baskets because, if you're not buying a lot, if you're buying one or two things, you can grab the basket, you can put it on your arm, you can throw your shit in there, put it on the thing, and go away. Some people, however, are dumb, and they don't understand that there are places to usually put your basket when you get to a cashiering lane. Generally, you either put it in front of the cashiering lane, or you put it underneath in a little alcove. Some dumb fucks, however, think, oh, I'm too lazy to unpack my groceries, so they'll put it on the belt. Don't do that. If you do that, I'll smack you. I won't, but I'll want to. And so what I had to do as a cashier, is literally stop the line, take every single piece out of the damn basket, hand it to the customer, make them put it below, stop the line again, and then I get the scan. Because otherwise, it would literally mess with the sensors, shove things into the cashiering lane, block all my other customers' groceries, and I can't put the basket behind me because I am in a little box, and there is no room for that. Underneath, there are trash cans. Over here, there are bags. Up here, there's all the shit I need to print receipts and look at fruit codes and do cashiering things. That's why there is a space underneath the belt and not in my area. But enough to explaining like I'm 5 about why baskets go in the place where baskets go. So I try to hand it back to her, and somehow in the commotion, it knocks over a 2-liter thing of Pepsi. That being said, fun cashiering advice, if you are going to have 2-liter beverages, it is a great idea to place them sideways on the line and not upright. That way, if they get knocked or jostled over, they won't bump into things, and they'll just roll a little, maybe. Belt goes this way, place the ball this way. Makes sense. Anyway, back to the story. It knocks over a 2-liter bottle of Pepsi, and it falls on the floor. And you ever see those, like, Mento Pepsi things, and it goes, bush. It did that! No fucking duh. And I'm just glad that there was not a cashier in the next lane over, because it bottle freaking rocketed all the way from my lane into the cashiering area of the next lane, which didn't have anybody, luckily. It splashed on me. Not that much, but a little bit. I had, stuff in front of me. I had, the monitor. It splashed a little bit on the customer, and it splashed on this nice little gentleman. I felt so bad for him, So, we're all a little wet, and, there's a big-ass puddle on the floor. And here's the thing about spills in, retail. Well, at least where I worked at Walmart, if there was a spill on the ground, you had to stand there. You could not let anybody, get there, because it's a liability. If somebody, slips and falls, you're getting fucking sued. Nobody likes that, So I'm saying, I am so sorry, ma'am. I can't let you walk here because you might hurt yourself. And I'm dialing my manager. I'm just like, hey, can we call maintenance? Oh, what? Maintenance is on lunch again? No worries. It's all fun and dandy. And so, oh my goodness. So I'm there with a little thing of paper towels, rolling it. My manager's there. We're trying to mop this all up. We get the customer situated to a different loan, another cashier's checking them out, and she's huffy. She's like, can't you hurry up? And I'm just like, well, honey, maybe don't put the basket in the thing next time, and accidents like this don't happen. Oh, I didn't say that. I did not say that, but that's what I thought. And it's just, I'm thinking ma'am, I understand these things happen, but clearly we're trying our best, and we're trying to relieve this horrible thing that's happened as easily as possible. But we clean up the soda, and I was like, I'm not worried. Messes happen. I work as a cook. Do you know how many frickin' times something spills? It spills all the damn time. I remember times that I've been coated in chocolate milk before. That's a fun story. Maybe I'll do a Kitchen Confidential episode sometime in the future of some of those. But it's spills happen, and so I'm not worried. But the customer had to get pissy, and I'm thinking, I'm trying my best, honey. It sucks. But what you gonna do? We getting you new Pepsi, we're getting you out, we're being nice to you. What you want, okay? I could be mean to you and roll my eyes as I'm mopping up this Pepsi. But you're getting huffy, and that just doesn't make my job nicer. But for the grand finale, I want to tell you about my worst customer ever. And to this day, it's funny now, but it wasn't funny then. When is it ever, And so, sorry, just give me a second to get my thoughts together. So my worst customer ever, I was working at Harry and David, and this was just after Christmas. So we had been busting our ass, getting every single person, done. And we're sort of in the week past it, where most of the time I'm literally just looking up FedEx deliveries for them. And I really don't understand why it's so hard for a customer to use the FedEx tracker. You literally click a link in an email and look at a pretty map. But some people are too dumb to do that. So I got paid to do that for them. And be like, well, it's at this processing center, so it should probably be there in 3 to 4 days. And they're like, well, why is it here now? Because there's a fucking blizzard. And they drive. Why aren't you there now, huh, Kimasabi? You know, like... But, get back to the story. And so I'm dealing with that. I'm dealing with customers complaining about fucking winter grapes. Why haven't we got our winter grapes yet? Because they're still on the vine growing their grapes. You want me to make grapes grow faster? Like, come on, people. And so while we're dealing with dumb fucks and dumb fuckery, this customer calls me up. And I'm going to guess she's early 40s. And I'm assuming she has money. Most of the people, like, that call, most of my customers were upper middle class, like, or just upper class in general, because who the hell buys gift baskets for Christmas? Rich people. And so she's calling me up, and she is pissed. She is PO'd. And she's like, customer support was supposed to call me back 2 days ago, and they haven't. And I'm thinking, oh dear lordy. So customer support, there was 2 types, like departments. There's customer service, which I did, in which people called me, and they're like, my shit's fucked up, fix it, click. Actually stuff that happens. And customer support, who is like, basically they're the ones that like actually look at all the stuff that we can't fix right at the moment. They look into the system, they check the files, and they're like, oh, this is why things are fucked up. And then they call you and it's like, hey, so this is what happened, and what sort of free shit you want? Like, like refund, reimbursement, just send you the item again, that type of thing. So the thing is, though, is that it's just after Christmas, which is the busiest time, and we have been swamped for weeks. We would literally have about 600 people on the line, day in, day out, for 8 hours, right? So customer support had been swamped. They have a huge backlog. They're having people from like my department like emergency training for customer support so that they can help with the backlog and all that stuff. And so they're trying to get to her, And so I'm just like, well, I'm terribly sorry, ma'am. If you haven't been called yet, your ticket just probably hasn't reached them yet in the queue. There are, some people in front of you. And she gets pissed. And I feel that's one of the main issues with customer service with call centers is that you can't see the line. You have an understanding that there are people ahead of you in line, but you can't see the line. Let's imagine that you're in a call center, right? And we visualized call center queues. And you are standing in the back of a line of 600 people. And it's topsy-turvy going around like a Disney, like roller coaster ride, like you're at the back of that. And there's 600 people in front of you. And you get to the front of that line in 20 minutes. Would you complain? Would you be like, why didn't you get here faster? You'd be like, holy fucking shit, they just processed 600 people. How did they do that? That's magic. That's what you would say. But when it's on the phone, you're like, I bet they're just screwing off while they maybe listen to that dumb music. Because that's what people think. Because they can't see like all the other people I just dealt with. And so she's mad, and she's pissy. And she's like, and I'm trying to help her best I can. And honestly, I don't remember what her issue was. All I remember was that it was not a particularly, super big thing. I think, they just had to resend her something, and so they did that, and she was waiting on it. But honestly, I literally cannot remember, anymore. It's been years. But she eventually reached that part where she goes, full-blown Karen, and she gets pissed. And so she starts spouting off, and she's like, well, I hate this company, and I'm never ordering from here again, and I'm going to use all of my social media clout and get my 6 friends on Facebook to never order from you again, and we're going to boycott you, and you're going to lose all your business and close down. And I'm thinking, okay, that's pretty standard, bullshit. I've heard that about 5 times already today. That was, nothing. Come on, honey, try a bit harder. And then she asked me a question, which was, so asinine and stupid that to this day, I still can't believe it. She's like, who's your CEO? And I'm thinking, I have no idea, because look deep within your heart and answer that question. Can you name the CEO of the company that you work for? Especially given that most people, if they work in a corporate environment, have parent companies or work for a complicated conglomerate. That's not always an easy question to ask. Now, I worked in a call center. I only ever met my regional manager, the one that actually managed the entire call center, one time, because I had to refund over $1,000, or rather I had to reimburse a customer $1,000 because we could only upgrade her to a bigger gift basket for like 50 people. Not the story. I had met her once. I had never met my CEO. I think they mentioned it one time in training. Because honestly, how is that supposed to help me throw free things at people and get yelled at? And so I'm very truthful because I have no reason not to be. And I'm like, ma'am, I'm totally sorry, but I'm actually not quite sure. It's never come to a big conversation, but I'm sure I can look it up for you. And she's pissed. She does not like it that I am not immediately aware of my company's upper management hierarchy. And so she's like, well, you must hate your job and be bad at it. Everyone that I know, they know their CEOs because they're good employees. And if people don't know their CEOs, they must be in a bad company. And I was a little peeved at that. Because first, I do hate my job. And second, it's not because the company was bad. Harry and David was a very nice company to work for. They gave me a lot of discounts in the products, they gave me a lot of benefits, and they were very nice. The job sucked because it was a call center. And I worked at one of the nicer types of call centers where if a customer was mean to you, you could hang up on them and just file out some paperwork saying that they called you a bitch. There's some places where you can't do that. And so it's like, I didn't like my job because I didn't like working in a call center being screamed at. Some people are into that, I'm not. But I just thought it was silly that the reason why I didn't like my job was because I couldn't name my CEO. I looked it up. His name is Craig Johnson. It never came up in conversation again after that point. But she was just spouting off about how I was a bad customer and how it was a bad company because I couldn't name my CEO. And eventually she hung up in a huff and she went on with her day. And that was one of the moments that I followed my manager's advice. And so my manager, the first thing she told me, if you deal with a really bad customer and you need to, you put yourself on hold. You go get some water. You take a breather. You take a 5-minute break. Like, you are allowed to do that. If you need to do so, take it. And I do that. I go and I calm myself down because it was a very hard customer to deal with. She was a crazy-ass bitch, and I hope to never see her again. Which is good because I worked in a call center, so likelihood of me getting the same customer twice is astronomically low. But to this day, I just think about this crazy bee and her wanting to know who my CEO is. And to this day, I think there was only ever one company where I ever met the CEO or the highest, person in the company. And that was when I worked at, Swap Dating Services when I was in college. I met our school president, Patty Brown, Patty Scott. It's Patty something, but I think it's Patty Scott. Yeah. Whatever her name was. I met her at one of the banquets we did because I was part of the catering group and I was a server. And so I actually served her table, so I met her very briefly. And it's like, places like that, yeah, I will know, who it is because that's a very visible person. That's somebody that's actually mentioned a lot, where you're working at. But if I'm working, right now, I'm working for a, restaurant that's part of a golf course, that's part of a larger medical conglomerate. I don't remember exactly which conglomerate is in the area. But it's like, I had to have no idea who, my boss is, because that type of thing isn't important. I know the person that I know the person that runs the shop. I know, like, everyone else in, like, the department, but I don't know, like, that high-end things. And for a grunt worker, for someone who's entry level, they shouldn't need to know who the CFO or the CEO or the district manager is to do their job, because they will never meet or interact with these people. But to this day, worst customer ever. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed my Tales from Retail. And I don't know if they were any good or if they were as entertaining as I was hoping they would be. So I wanted to make sure that I was actually playing. But I enjoyed myself. I like talking about my dumb fuck customers. Especially Ham Lady. Like, who... Like, honestly, it's meat. Why would it stay good for 6 months? But it's like, I always love telling those stories just because they're weird. Like, and sometimes you just get the dumbest or the weirdest or the craziest customers. And it's a good story. And I just want to share one thing with you. Don't be rude to customer service representatives or they'll talk smack about you behind your backs and on the internet. Now, besides that, I just really had a fun time with these story times. I can't say that I enjoy retail or customer service always that much, but I do know that I have a good knack for it, and it has brought me some interesting stories. Let's see. If you are interested in more story times, especially ones which tangentially refer to Reddit categories, let me know. I'm always happy to, share a story or two. I fancy myself a raconteur. I'm just teasing. But, that was, something fun that I enjoyed doing. I'm always kind of, looking for something that I can, kind of try that's a little bit interesting on my channel. And I always want to, do something new or fun or exciting. Next week, I'm going to try to do a live stream because Flash ends 2020, and I just want to have a bit of a nostalgia trip, maybe play some games that I haven't played in a while, and just sort of talk about the games that I enjoyed as a kid. Because after 2020, we might not be able to enjoy them in the same way. And there's going to be a lot of parts of the internet that we might not be able to access, anymore. And that sucks because I love Flash. Flash games were my childhood. But besides that, and me trying to figure out OBS because my computer does not like it at all, I'm going to, just wrap this up. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. I did not work very hard on it all. I mostly just sat down and bullshitted with you guys, but I had fun. And as we remind you, like, because that helps, YouTube see me. Subscribe so that you can, see all the other shit I put out. I publish once a week on my channel, and I also publish on my various blogs and other things and their own intervals. So, check that information out on my About page. Check, the rest of my content network if you're interested. And, comment, because I want to hear from you guys. There's a lot of things I want to, get recommendations on, so I'm always happy for your opinions. And I just want to know how I'm doing. Do you like the stuff I make? Do you not like what I make? Or the things you want to see from me? Or the things you don't want to see from me? Stuff like that. So, hit me up, drop me a line, tell me to kill myself, that type of stuff. And, most importantly, just have a great day, live your best life. Because this is False Bulls 1 through 3, and I'm signing off.